After 4 years under Nazi occupation, Paris opened its eyes again. That day, it didn't fall to an army. It rose with its people. The soldiers came not to conquer, but to restore. And among them, a young man from Minnesota. Her name was Odette Glenard. Young, proud, entirely French, heels, heat, and all. She didn't know where Minnesota was on a map. She didn't speak much English, but she did understand sincerity when she saw it.
As she saw in Joseph Pilarski.
Before they knew it, they were married. Shortly after, they crossed the Atlantic together. And in the chill of a Minnesota winter, they bought a parcel of land right near the edge of St. Cloud.
She couldn't believe it, but she said when she came here, first when she had to travel from New York, wherever the ship docked, and then she had to get bused to the train station. And when she hit Chicago, she ended up on what in the day was called the milk train. That meant that it stopped every city along the way. It took her just days to get to St. Cloud, so she was very, very tired. And then she said, the streets, they weren't even paved. There were so few paved. She wasn't used to the street that wasn't paved and, the big boulevard and things like that she was used to. So it was a big change. Because her family were kind of industrious, they always wanted to be in business. So she bought pieces of property in the area and as an investment. And then my father felt sorry for some of his buddies, so in the day the man was the controller, so he sold them all to his friends for little or nothing. So that was upsetting for her. So she had to change her way of making a living. So
if Paris hadn't been liberated, they never would have met, and this town would have never known Frenchy.
One of the best-kept secrets in all of central Minnesota is Frenchy's Dinner Club and Bistro Lounge. Frenchy's menu offers charbroiled steaks, succulent seafood, pastries, French wines, and cocktails. And in case you didn't know, Frenchy's also has daily lunch specials. So for atmosphere, enjoyment, and most of all, wonderful food, visit Frenchy's Dinner Club just south of Cub Foods. Frenchy's will make a lover out of you.
it was a place people could come and enjoy themselves. Sometimes they came with their families and just had a good old time, and sometimes it would just be coming to the lounge and just chatting with my mother and with other people that would be there, and they just enjoyed themselves. That's what I think. My mother, when she first came here, there was hardly any seafood on anybody's menu. It was mostly hamburgers and chili and things like that. And she introduced shrimp, and so she got her supplier to bring in shrimp. And then after that, she asked him to get lobster, and so he brought that in. And after that, she asked him for frog legs, and I think we were the only restaurant that had frog legs for many years.
She began with small touches, a few dishes added here and there. But over time, the familiar bar menu started to shift. Shrimp and garlic butter, escargot, and frog legs. Dishes no one in St. Cloud had asked for until she served them. She didn't need it to be fancy, she needed it to feel like home. There wasn't a real plan behind it, just a desire for familiarity and a quiet refusal to blend in.
There was a time when turtle was very popular in the area, and so we did what other restaurants did. We served turtle. Otherwise, with our dinners, we always had hors d'oeuvres. Everybody got 3 hors d'oeuvres with their dinners, so that was a little bit like what you get in France. And of course, we couldn't have real high items because economy in this area wouldn't really support something like that, because in France everything was pretty expensive, always, still is, I think. So that's kind of how things developed.
By the 1960s, things had really shifted. The place was steady, recognized, and that year, Frenchy secured its liquor license.
She sold all of the area products, the Cold Spring and the Grain Belt and the Schmidt, and it was in those kegs. We had a keg there. That's one reason I can't drink beer, is because when we clean those out, did that ever smell? Oh, gee. From then on, I couldn't drink a beer.
My memory of Frenchy's, my last memory of actually being in the building was in 1989. I was a college graduate, actually a senior at the time, and I ran for mayor for the first time. I lost. I came in 8 out of 7 people, but that's a different story. But I came to the winning or victory of the 2 people who won the primary, Kermit Eastman and Chuck Winkleman. They both had campaign parties that night. I came in last, but they came in the top 2. Kermit Eastman had his party here, so I came over to congratulate him. And I went over to congratulate Chuck Winkleman. But that's the last time I was in the building. And I remember, at least for me, it was a really depressing time. For Kermit and all the people there, it was an exciting time because they had just won a primary. Now, this was a place I couldn't afford as a college student, so I only came there to congratulate Kermit. But if it would have still been around, I would have been here many times from just knowing the reputation. It would have been a place, actually. I probably would have had on the list of prom locations. A lot of people in Greater Minnesota came to St. Cloud for prom. They went to the Persian, the Pirates Cove, Frenchy's, places where you could take a date. The nice thing about Frenchy's, especially as it gained a reputation and it became a dinner club, it was a place you made reservations. It was some place you could celebrate an anniversary, and people did. People brought came to an anniversary. The town was much different then. You came here, you had an anniversary, and you probably had spent your honeymoon at the Kleist Motel.
Looking around us now, it's kind of hard to imagine that not that long ago, this road here was Highway 15, the main drag to get in and out of St. Cloud before they built the new improved 15 down the way. And as far as you could see this direction were fields. This was literally out in the middle of nowhere. And right where we're standing here, now it looks like it's just a small grass field, but this was a hub of activity. This was Frenchy's Dinner Club for years and years and years.
When, Odette and Joseph, they started the bar when Frenchy's began, this was a major highway. This was Highway 15. Highway 15 now is diverted a little farther from here, but this was Highway 15. Across the street was a Warehouse Marcus. That was the first big box store in the St. Cloud area, and that was right across the street. So this was a busy road. High speed. You went at highway speed through this area because this was the edge of town before you slowed down into the town.
At the time when my mother came here, it's the same as it is now. Immigrants really weren't accepted, so she had a difficult time. She was the one that helped the city get water and sewer to our area, and we had a neighbor that just didn't want it. Naturally, it cost money, but it was an improvement to the community, and so my mother said, that's something that we should do. So I know that later on there, a German woman came to St. Cloud, and she started brigettas, and she used to come over and talk with my mother too. But because initially, the French and the German people, they always got along real well. Politics got in the way, and then the war, and that's the sad part of it. But normally, even I had an aunt in Paris that ran a lot of bistros and cafes, and the German people would come and they just laugh and chat together, and they were always friendly. So it's terrible what a war will do, but
So it's changed considerably. Not only the neighborhood, the buildings around it, but even the transportation artery around it. Roads changed, and buildings stayed the same. In this area, Frenchy's had a lit up sign. You had the Eiffel Tower, and this is the edge of town. So the only place you'd see those lit up sign here, the Frenchy's, you'd see Frenchy's, and then just a little farther down the road, you see the Kleist Motel. Neon, and this is when neon signage was new. So you came into St. Cloud, especially if you're in rural Minnesota, you didn't see neon signs anywhere. You come into St. Cloud, you see Frenchy's, a dinner club, and you saw the Kleist Motel.
The sign was put together with a man called Bob Lummel with my mother, because he used to be a customer, and he'd come over and they'd chat a while, and somehow it must have come up that we were going to have a sign put up there, and so they put their heads together and they came up with something that looks like an Eiffel Tower, and so that's what we went with, and my mother was pleased with that, and so that's how it came about.
The connection from Odette, who came from Paris and settled here and brought her culture to this community, and her French connection is even more ironic, because this street is Saint Germain, and Saint Germain is a major boulevard in Paris. The name of the city, Saint Cloud or Saint Cloud, was named after the suburb near Paris. So it had a connection to France. She brought more culture and more of a story to a city that has its roots in the French name. The view beyond the sign got brighter, and what used to be a beacon on the edge of town was lost in the middle, as development all around this area continued to grow the community. In March of 1991, a fire broke out inside the building. Damage was estimated over $125,000. The walls that held nearly 50 years of laughter and celebration gone in one night.
Oh, gee, I was in the house here. Yeah, I didn't even know about it. At the time, my father was alive, and he ran in and, he said something that I don't even remember what it was. Now it's so long ago. Then that was that. And he couldn't rebuild after that. There was some kind of city ordinance and things, and we weren't really in position to sue or do anything, So we just said, well, that's that, I guess, and that was that. Well, the damage was done mostly on the inside, so you couldn't, from the outside of the building, you really couldn't tell much. If I looked out the window, I couldn't tell that anything was different. But on the inside, there was the smoke damage, and I think that the floor of the lounge area was burnt through or something like that. I think that I just can't remember if the fire department was here. I think they were, I just can't remember it. People used to think that she was real fiery, and they always says, oh, don't get upset, Frenchy, don't get upset. It was just, a lot of French people are excitable people, and if you don't know that, and everybody else around you is different, but there's this one person that's real excitable, you think that they're upset, but that's just their spirit. They're just their energy. That's how they react to things. My father really didn't care to be around people, so he was he liked to do his work all by himself. He didn't like to be bothered. He just liked to do whatever he wanted to do. And my mother was the opposite. She liked to be around people and chat with them and learn about what they're doing, and they'd tell her their problems, and it's like the old story. What's said here is left here, and nobody had to worry about whatever they would tell her, because she never said a word about it, and people were safe. So it was, instead of going to the confessional, they came to talk to her. It sounds funny, but she liked the classical music and good fine art and things that she grew up with. She lived in a chateau with a huge family, and she just was used to everything like that. And so, well, I think it was always really pretty well. I was kind of her right hand, so that's the way I grew up, and that's just the way that it was for me, I guess. Yeah. I learned how to serve people and talk to people, and it was good for me because I thought that I wasn't, when I was a child, I thought that I couldn't do that. I thought I was too shy. I thought I was like my father. And it turns out that I really like to be around people and talk to them, and they would tell me things about their life and how things were going. And I thought that was very interesting. I learned to be kind of a people person. It was good for me, and they always liked to tell me things. So that was kind of a happy outcome.
Nothing stands here now to tell you what this place meant. No post, no sign, no glowing tower. The building stood here for 13 years after the fire in 1991. Though Frenchy and Joe are no longer with us, her legacy continues. Her children and grandchildren still own the area where Frenchy's once stood.
We are all a part of the whole world, and we're connected. And in this time that's troubling for us, I think we should remember that. As I am, I have family all over Europe, and I never forgot that, and I won't either. And I think a lot of us should should remember that, because we all came here from somewhere else. And I know it sounds politicizing, but that's the way I feel about. I'm glad that we have so many different people in our country.
The sign was kept safe. The story is still here.
Bonjour aux Français et bonjour à ma famille en Europe.